Hey everyone, it's Grant Winsauer and
Jack Rodi.
back here on the Bear Clawcast, and we are gonna do our draft recap, winners and losers of the NFL draft, based on pretty much the first round, not their whole draft. I mean, we might mention some of their other picks to base off their losing, but it's based off the first round pretty much. And then we're gonna do offensive our predictions for offensive and defensive rookie of the year for the whole league, and then for the Bears themselves. So let's get started with that. Our first pick was one that was a little bit of a shocker in people's heads, and both of us included. But it was Colston Loveland out of Michigan, and this one was a little surprising for me because I thought that they would. Well, actually, we thought that they would go with Tyler Warren from Penn State, but you know, at the beginning, this pick didn't necessarily make sense to me on night one because Tyler Warren was available. But after, seeing some stuff about him on the internet, like his character, his just his toughness, and like how Ben Johnson sees him. Ben Johnson sees him as the Bears version of Sam Laporta. So I think when I initially graded this pick, on night one, I gave this a B. I think now I'm giving it a B plus. Would be my grade on this. What about you, Jack? What are your thoughts on Loveland? What were your initial thoughts, and what are your thoughts now?
Yeah, I know it was kind of funny because Grant actually texted me the night before the draft a tweet about the Bears being interested in Loveland, and he said this could be a potential pick at 39. And I don't think any of us expected it to be happening at 10. I think if people thought the Bears would get him in the first round, it'd be a little bit of a trade back. But
Mm-hmm.
leading up to the draft, I did see a little bit of a shift in people's dialogue between Tyler Warren and Colson Loveland. Like I know a lot of reputable people mention that depending on the team, like these guys were obviously 1-2 on every big board, but a lot of teams had Loveland ahead of Warren, and the Bears happened to be one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I've heard a lot of crazy comps in the last couple of days. Obviously, Laporta is the big one that I've heard, but uh, Theo Ash, who's a very popular NFL media person on TikTok and other platforms, YouTube, he actually compared him to Drake London, which I thought was an interesting comparison. Obviously, different positions, but Colston Loveland has the ability to go out into the slot and be a bit of a big slot receiver that I don't think that's really Cole Kmet's game. So it obviously offers a little bit of a difference. And I think this could end up being a really good pick. I mean, we're setting up Caleb. We'll talk about our next pick too, but it's setting up
Yeah.
Caleb with a lot of weapons. And the last thing I'll say is people have talked about his blocking being bad, but there's no way you start for 3 years, two of them with Jim Harbaugh on a team that won a national championship at tight end and you can't block. So I think he'll be fine.
That is a good. That is a good 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 narrative. One other thing that I wanted to say about him that I forgot to mention is he's 6'6", 248 pounds. So he's technically a tight end in a wide receiver's body. I
I
mean,
mean, he's a big dude. Like he, if we utilize him correctly, which I hope we will with the offensive staff we have, I think he has a
mhm.
chance to be a real weapon. And especially, you see a lot of these tight ends become safety valves for younger quarterbacks, which we talked about last year. We were hoping that Gerald Everett and Cole Kmet would be that, and it didn't really come to fruition. So
Yes,
hopefully, this can change the tune on that a little bit this year.
yes. So why don't you go into both of our personal favorite draft pick, and actually, I think it would be shocking if we could ask every Bears fan in the world if they said anyone else was their favorite draft pick of this draft class. Why don't you go into our second round draft pick?
So at number 39, and this is who we mocked actually last Monday when we did our podcast, we took Luther Burden out of Missouri. So Burden is going to slot in right as the Bears' number 3 wide receiver out of the slot. He took the majority of his college reps out of the slot, which was kind of the knock on him coming into the draft and why he fell from initially what was perceived as a top 10 talent into the second round and right into the Bears' lap. He had over 1,200 yards and actually had more yards than Marvin Harrison in 2023 with Missouri. But I watched a lot of Mizzou football this last year. Burton's production was about cut in half, but their quarterback Brady Cook was dealing with injuries on and off, and quite frankly, didn't play great when he was in there. And the team overall was just not as talented. They lost their running back. I believe his name was Casey Schrader, Cody Schrader, one of those two from the year before at Missouri. And their offense just took a big hit. But Burton is perfect for what the Bears need. We have two guys on the outside in DJ and Rome. So Burton slotting in there alongside those two, and then Loveland and Komet. I mean, the Bears are going to be set whether they're an 11 or 12 personnel this year with their first two draft picks.
Yeah, seriously, when the Bears got to their pick at 39, it was rumored that we were looking at either Quishon Junkins or Trevion Henderson at pick 39, but they both went at 36 and 38. So that didn't come into fruition or come true, and then Luther Burden was the top player on their board. And honestly, in all fairness, if one of the two of Henderson or Junkins was available at 39, I think it would have been a possibility that if the Saints didn't take him at 40, we would have taken him at 41.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hypothetical, but when they were on the board, when they were on the clock at 39, and I saw because I saw the pick, and I saw Antoine Randall L hugging Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles, and I'm like, well, it's got to be a wide receiver, and I literally I said, please be Luther Burton, and and I was right. I mean, and when that just came true, I'm like, holy crap, this offense is set. I mean, Caleb Williams has no excuses this next season.
There's a plethora of weapons, so
he should at least throw for 4,000 yards and 35 touchdowns.
I don't care more so about the touch, more so the yards, just because sometimes touchdowns can be fickle with running backs getting them at the goal line. 4,000 yards and less than 12 picks.
I think that is a good prediction. So our next pick would have been at 41, but we traded back, and we traded back to 56, and we got Ozzy Trampulo or something like that. Trapilo. And he was offensive tackle for Boston College these past few years. And funny thing, his father and Ryan Pohl's father played on the same Boston College football team. And Ryan Poles went to Boston College, so he kind of knows a little bit about Trampulo because of being an alumni there. And then this dude is 6'8".
Yeah, he's a big man.
I think
3-year starter at Boston College as well.
And I think he only gave up like 5 total sacks in those 3 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I read today that they're kind of trying to figure out the offensive line combo. They might have Darnell Wright switch to left tackle and have
Trapilo
play a right tackle because it's his natural position. I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad idea. It's just I don't, Darnell Wright has played right tackle his whole career, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes if that is their course of action. But we'll see.
I don't know too much else about him other than he is a large human being and he plays a position that we needed to beef up on. So I got no gripes with the pick, but Our next pick, another second round pick, our third of the day. At 62, we picked defensive tackle Shamar Turner out of Texas A&M. Another large human being, known more as a run stopper than a pass rusher, but I think that's okay with what we've done this offseason. He's going to be probably mixing in a lot with Grady Jarrett, Andrew Billings, and Gravon Dexter. So I don't know how much we'll see of him this year, but obviously a very athletic player. Like I mentioned, only had, I think, 10 sacks across 4 years in college. So not the best pass rusher, but that's not always what you need out of a defensive tackle. But the Bears, I mean, we said going into the draft, we wanted running back, wide receiver, offensive, defensive line. So we strayed a little bit away from that with the first pick, kind of, because Loveland's still a pass catcher. But went right back to the defensive line here, got some depth on the interior. So I like the pick.
Yeah. So I mean, I like this pick too. He was probably the best defensive lineman available on their draft board. The thing that I really like is the fact that he. I mean, if need be, he could play defensive end. It's not necessarily saying that we want him to. But if you don't necessarily trust um, Austin Booker or Daniel Hardy to slot in if Montez or Adiingbo get injured, you could slide out Turner for a game or two.
It gives versatility.
So I mean, we'll see how it goes. The next pick is the worst one.
Okay. Worst one by experts. You never know. Maybe he'll end up being like a 5-time All Pro or something.
Sure.
People said, I think the lowest grade anyone's ever given like a total draft was the Seahawks draft when they drafted Bruce Irvin and Russell Wilson. So you never know. I think they gave Bruce Irvin an F.
Okay, well, based on right now, people are saying that the guy that we picked at 148,
Ruben Hypolite.
Ruben Hypolite was our worst pick of the night, and I mean the thing that he has going for him is he has a lot of speed, but that's the only thing that I see. He'll probably be a special teams contributor year one, but maybe Dennis Allen can develop him. But that's I don't know anything yet. We'll see how it goes. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, he did not have much production at all in college. I was looking at it before we started recording. I think maybe 1 or 2 sacks in the entirety of his college career.
Mm-hmm.
Appeared in games for 5 years at Maryland, but only started for. Well, he started for his last. I shouldn't say only. For being a 4-year starter at a Big Ten college is nothing to like snuff at, but a guy that a lot of people had projected like late round or undrafted free agent. So hopefully the Bears know what they're doing, and this guy is a contributor. But if nothing else, hopefully he can at least do something on special teams this year, because we do already have a pretty good linebacker core when healthy.
Yeah. Why don't you go into our fifth round pick?
Yep. So in the fifth round, the Bears selected Za Frazier, not Zach Frazier. He is a cornerback out of UTSA. Not someone that I knew a lot about going into the draft, but he's got some pretty good measurables. He's 6'3" and ran a mid 4.3 40 in his 40-yard dash. A little bit of shades of Velus Jones Jr. He does turn 25 in October. So this is something where we are drafting an older player, but probably not going to be extended past his rookie contract unless he's amazing. But anyways, the Bears do have still Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, and then Kyler Gordon as their slot corner. But we saw at times last year Tyreek Stevenson struggled a little bit opposite Jalen Johnson. So I think just having a guy who has the height and the measurables and has the experience, if need be, due to his age, to slot in for Tyreek Stevenson if he's struggling or injured, I think that's a good proposition for the Bears to make here.
Yeah, and to your point about Tyreek Stevenson struggling, I think that that's the reason that we took this guy to maybe show some competition, just like as a warning, like, hey, this guy is a 5th round pick, but he's got probably more speed than you, because actually, I think I put what his 40 time
It
was
was a
in.
4.36, I believe.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a. Oh well, I said 4.3, but
Yeah.
um, but I mean this pick was actually um encouraged by Al Harris months ago. Like he texted Ryan Poles in the front office like 2-3 months ago saying we could get this guy in the fifth round or fourth or fifth round, and I mean we did. And I mean if there's anyone to coach great DBs, it's Al Harris.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You want to
and
head on to the sixth round pick?
yeah, sure. So in the sixth round, we got Luke Newman. Newman was a guard at for Michigan State. This is another good pick for me because teams can never have too many offensive linemen, and it helps that we have Dan Roshar, one of if not the best O line coach in the NFL. Uh, it also helps that we have guys like Joe Tooney and Jonah Jackson to help mentor him. I mean, I think he only gave up like 5 sacks in the last 2 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm. And I
Um,
mean, it just really added depth. We now have Trapilo, Kyron Amagaji, and Luke Newman now to back up the 5 offensive linemen who we hope should be starting if Trapilo doesn't end up starting over Braxton Jones initially,
mhm.
anyways. But I think we have some good depth now. I think when you're drafting in the 5th to 7th round, that's kind of what you're looking for, good depth pieces who could potentially fill in if need be. So I
Mhm.
don't really have anything wrong with this Bears pick. I'll go with your grade. I don't know too much about Luke Newman. Michigan State's been pretty down in the dumps football wise, so I didn't get a chance to watch them much this past year.
Yeah.
But our last pick of the draft, though, finally got our running back with the 233rd pick. We drafted Kyle, and I'm sorry, Kyle, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, Monangai, something like that. Uh, Very productive college player out of Rutgers. He was a first team All Big Ten selection this past year and had over 1,000 rushing yards. He Rutgers is most known for, as Illini fans, for the crazy ending to the game we had with them last year. Pat Bryant walked him off with a touchdown on 4th and long. Anyways, he will be battling for reps with all 3 of Roshan Johnson, DeAndre Swift, and still Ian Wheeler coming off of his injury from last training camp. If he's still around, we'll have to see. I would give the edge to Kyle over him to get more meaningful reps, but like I said, this is a depth pick, not exactly what Bears fans were hoping for. I think once Genty got picked before us in the first round, and then we had, like you mentioned, Travion and Judkins getting picked right before us in the second round, and then Scattaboo went right before us in the
In the
fourth
fourth.
round. So it seemed like no matter what we did, the guys we wanted weren't there when we wanted them. So I applaud the Bears for not reaching on somebody and taking
Hmm.
somebody way too early or trading up for a running back when you really didn't need to. I think the Bears' offense will be fine. We got a lot of talented pieces, and if he ends up contributing this year, then that'll be great.
Honestly, I mean, I like all your points, but I'm gonna slot him in at running back 3
Mm-hmm.
because running back 3, our third running back right now, at least on the depth chart, is Travis Homer,
Mm-hmm.
and Homer has never had a rush longer than 5 yards
He
with the
he was he was a
Bears.
he was a Waldron guy because he came from Seattle, I believe.
You're right, but also like I I have seen him contribute on special teams, but that's pretty much it for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I would imagine that that at least at the beginning of the season, uh, Kyle, I'm just gonna call him Kyle because I'm not gonna try to butcher his name either. Will be running back 3 to start, and probably by the end of the season, I could see him being uh, running back 2. I mean, so here's my take on it. I believe that the Bears were getting players that the coaches wanted, and our running backs coach is Eric Bieniemy, and he has coached a lot of great running backs, including Isaiah Pacheco, who was also a 7th round pick, and he is the starter for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Out of Rutgers as well.
I did not know that, but
I believe so. I'll look that up real quick.
Thank you.
You keep going.
So I mean, if there's anyone that can make this kid a starter, it's Eric Bieniemy, because his natural coaching position is
he went to Rutgers.
Because Eric Bieniemy's natural coaching position is a running backs coach. He's been an offensive coordinator before, but he was the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs, who the play caller is Andy Reid. So there is no offensive coordinator calling plays. There's just an offensive coordinator title. So overall, I would give this draft a B plus. And for Ben Johnson's first draft as a head coach, that's a great draft. But that's my overall thought. What are your overall thoughts?
Yeah, I would honestly give it probably, B plus to an A minus. It's going to depend a lot on how these guys look year one, which you can really say for everybody. But I think the Bears in particular kind of went off their big board, especially, and not the consensus that a lot of draft experts had.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to come to fruition in the next couple of years whether the Bears were right on a lot of these guys to be higher on them than other teams were or not.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I'll give it a B plus because I do actually really like what they did, but I think it has the potential to reach an A minus or an A.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So our next topic, we're going to go into our winners and losers. I mean, we're Bears fans, so we kind of have to say that we think the Bears won. But honestly, for the first time in a long time, I actually do believe that they did, because they actually took very good players. In the past, I've said that they've done good, but I was also like just being a biased Bears fan, and I'm still being maybe a little biased, but I have more faith in this coaching staff than the last coaching staff, and I'm pretty sure every Bears fan should have more faith in this coaching staff. So my other two winners are the Seahawks. Actually, I have three. I didn't put the third one in here, but one of my cousins would be mad at me if I didn't say it. So my other three winners are the Seahawks and the Cardinals, and then the Patriots. The Seahawks got a lot of great players. Like Ray Zabel. Really liked him, and I mean, was kind of hoping that he'd slip into the second round, but he was a mid-first round draft pick. The guy that I actually love for them is Nick Emanwari. He's the safety coming out of South Carolina, and I mean, this guy just screams like the next startup guy for the next Legion of Boom for the Seahawks. Jalen Milroe, probably the next quarterback of the Seahawks. They have Sam Darnold for technically a year, because his contract is 3 years, but the second and third year are opt out years. Riley Mills and Damian Martinez. I mean, I'm not going to give them a grade, but they definitely did a great job. The Cardinals got great players too, in Walter Nolan, Will Johnson. Honestly, the only reason that Will Johnson fell to the second round was because of his knee issue. Jordan Birch, an edge from Oregon, Cody Simon, and Denzel Burke. Cody Simon was a linebacker, and Denzel Burke was a corner from Ohio State. O-line depth from Texas, and a depth safety from Nevada. Who are your couple winners, Jack?
So my winners were actually, the first was the Browns, and this is not just because they got Sugar. I don't even really factor that into it. I just thought they did a good job at acquiring capital for their trade back from second to the fifth pick. I thought Mason Graham was the third best player in this draft going into the draft, and they were able to get him at 5. And they also recouped a first round pick for next year, which I really thought was awesome. And I believe they got their the Jaguars' second round pick. Yeah, they did. They got the Jaguars' second round pick, which they used to draft Quinshon Judkins. So I really just do like everything the Browns did this draft. I thought that, and I'll talk more about the Jaguars later, but they were my first winner. My second winner, I actually really like what the Texans did. I thought they had a pretty clear need at wide receiver, with Tank Dell probably out for all of this year and Stephon Diggs leaving.
That sucks.
And there was really no one worth it when they were drafting at 25, so they opted for the trade back. Got the Giants' second-round picks. They had 2 second-round picks. They got a third-round pick this year and a third-round pick next year. We're able to pick 2 wide receivers from the same college, which was pretty funny.
That's cool.
Jalen Higgins and Jalen Noel. So I thought they really just did a good job at addressing their needs. And then I actually think that my third winner, who was my third one? Oh, that's who it was. The Eagles. Really just solely based on the Jahad Campbell pick. Like, that was, how do they keep letting some stud defensive player fall to them in the first round?
I don't know.
I don't care what they did the rest of the draft. They got, what's his face? The corner last year out of Toledo. Why am I blanking on his name? You know who I'm talking about.
I'm blanking too, but I can look it up. Eagles. Sorry, everybody. I don't.
Quinyon Mitchell.
Okay, there it is.
That's it. Quinyon Mitchell last year at 22.
Just make sure. I believe you. I just want.
Well, no, it was 2024. I was talking about.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because they got him last year in the first round, and this year they got Jahad Campbell in the first round.
Gotcha.
So I just think, Howie Roseman just continues to draft the best player available in the first round, who happens to be a really, really good player that people let fall to the Eagles. So they would be my third winner.
But seriously, I mean, Howie Roseman seems like the GM of the decade. He just always seems to get quality players from quality programs, and no one stops him. Mm-hmm. And I forgot to mention, I am gonna put the Patriots on my win list as well, because my cousin would get mad at me if I didn't, because they got some great players. They got Will Campbell, and we knew that he was going top 5 like a week before the draft. They took Henderson, right?
Yes, they did take Henderson.
But I mean, I'm not going to go into any deeper, but I got to get. Oh, actually, I'll go one deeper. They did also take Kyle Williams, who was one of the guys that I liked for the Bears
from
Washington State, if he was available. But we got Luther Burden, and between the two, I prefer Burden.
Oh, Nick Nash went undrafted too.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Did he sign anywhere?
I'm not sure, honestly. Anyway, should we get into losers?
Yes.
You want me to go first for this one?
Yes, you go first.
All right. My first loser, it's just kind of in conjunction with my first winner. I actually think the Jaguars gave up too much to get Travis Hunter. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me. I think it's pretty much consensus that the Jaguars did a good thing in going up to get him. And I do agree, having a face of the franchise and a guy who brings in a lot of revenue is a good thing. But the Jaguars were not close last year. And I don't know how much closer Travis Hunter is going to bring them. They're planning on playing him more at wide receiver and a little bit of sprinkled in at cornerback. And although I think that him and Brian Thomas Jr. make a great wide receiver duo, they still lost Evan Ingram this offseason. Brenton Strange is their tight end. Their offensive line was pretty bad last year, and their defense was horrendous, like really, really bad. Like Caleb Williams' best game of the year last year probably was in London, and he didn't even play but like the fourth quarter of that game because they were up by a decent amount.
Yeah, right.
I just don't think the Jaguars are particularly close, and to give up next year's first-round pick as well. Like, I think the Browns, if the Browns are bad, the Jags are bad, the Browns are going to have 2 of the top 3 picks next year.
Yeah.
And I could really see that happening.
Go ahead.
My second loser, I actually have, it's a little bit of like a contingent loser, kind of for the same reason. The Falcons, I really liked the Jalen Walker pick. And I really like that they addressed their defense, especially like pass rusher, and getting James Pierce with their second first-round pick that they traded up for.
I thought that no.
But the fact that they traded a first-round pick for like the 26th pick in the first round to go up and get James Pierce Jr., like I say it's contingent because if they're good and if James Pierce, like in those 2 edge rushers, bring them over the top a little bit, it'll be 100% worth it. They'll be a top 2 to 3 team in the NFC, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But if they're not, like if Michael Penix doesn't take that step forward next year, it's going to be looking like a pretty silly trade.
That's a big if.
Especially when James Pierce Jr. came with a lot of character concerns coming into this draft. So the talent is undeniable, but I mean, that just makes it a little iffy for me. And then I actually was going to go with the Packers for my last loser because I just don't think Matthew Golden's that great, and I think that they reached to take him at where they took him. But I think I'd be remiss not to say the Giants are my last loser for trading back up into the first round to draft Jackson Dart. I just Jackson Dart. I mean, yes, he has talent, but Ole Miss's offense is not a pro offense. Like he's going to have so much adjustment to do coming into the pros. It's basically like they got Daniel Jones 2.0 with Jackson Dart trading back up in the first round. Uh, I liked their first pick with Abdul Carter 100%, but I
Mm-hmm.
just thought it was a little bit of a like they could have sat back, and I think like I don't know how much better Jackson Dart is than that next group of Tyler Shuck, uh, like all those guys that got drafted right after him. Even Shador, like I just don't know how much better he is. So I think it's a little bit silly that they
That
wasted
big of
a
a pick.
yeah, they gave up a second, a third this year, and a third next year
Well, they
to
didn't give up a first.
no, but they only moved up. I think they moved up from 34 to 26 or something. So they moved up. So
Okay, that's not
They
that.
moved up 8 spots and gave up or a second and 2/3.
That's not bad. But actually, to you, okay, let me ask you this,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm going to comment on the rest of what you said. Um, so would you have moved up for if you were the Giants? Would you have moved up for Shadur?
I wouldn't have
And
moved up for anybody. I would have sat my booty at 34. No quarterback. I mean,
that's a
there's
good
always the
point.
possibility the Saints could have jumped them and got Jackson Dart because I know the Saints did like Jackson Dart. They ended up drafting Tyler Shuck at 40. But I just wouldn't. I'm not an NFL evaluator, so I'm not the Giants,
Neither am I.
and they clearly did lots more research on Jackson Dart than I did. But just from an outsider's perspective, I would not have traded up for any quarterback in that draft outside of Cam Ward.
Yeah, that's a good point. But so your three losers are the
Giants,
Giants, the
And
Falcons,
and
and the
not the
and
Panthers,
the Jaguars.
the Jaguars. Yes.
I mean, honestly, I will say this. I mean, um, I read something like a day before the draft or something that said that trade value was like 70 cents on the dollar if this year because of the um,
Lack of top quarterback talent.
lack of talent in this draft across all positions
Mm-hmm.
except like a, a select few. So honestly, I will say I agree with you that the Jaguars did probably give up way too much
I just felt like
to get to move up 3 spots for granted the best player in this draft. Travis Hunter will be the best player in this draft because of the fact that he will play both ways in the NFL. Now, here is my problem with that. When you play both ways in college, it's not as gruesome, especially when you're playing in Colorado. The only way that it gets gruesome is if you're playing 2 ways at places like LSU, Alabama.
But we even saw him get hurt 2 years ago. Like he missed a decent chunk of time the season before this one because he got hurt.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know who Travis Hunter was at that point. But so well, I agree with you that they gave too much up, and I do think it was a good pick for them. But my concern is with you playing both ways, how long is your career going to be?
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, wide receiver is a position that gets hurt a lot, and so is corner.
Mm-hmm.
So, but my three losers are uh the Bengals, the 49ers, and the Saints. You know, for me, each team didn't necessarily take the best player to improve their team. The Bengals' first round draft pick was an edge rusher that had 4.5 total sacks in college. That is not worth a first round draft pick. They took a 25-year-old linebacker, Demetrius Knight, in the second, which we would be doing mock drafts, and we would always be wondering why did he last so long. He was last in like to the third or fourth round. They took some offensive linemen in the third and fifth. Um, Some of them I liked, but I'm not going to go into who they are just because I didn't really like their draft. The 49ers passed up on drafting Tyler Warren at 11 and took Michael Williams, which I will admit I like, but George Kittle is getting older and having contract disputes with the 49ers. They took a linebacker, Nick Martin, in the third, which you probably could have gotten him in the fourth, and Upton Stout in the third as well, which I think that was also too early because we were doing mocks and one time we picked him in the seventh. Um, they focused too much on defense after losing some key pieces on offense. And I think this lackluster draft class is Kyle Shanahan's fault because he skipped the combine altogether. I am sure some of the draft picks will pan out uh, because it's still Kyle Shanahan, but this just doesn't look like a usual Kyle Shanahan draft class. Um, what are your thoughts on my three losers?
Yeah, I mean, I do agree. Oh wait, do you have the Saints still too, right?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry, I
I don't
didn't.
want to. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
let you finish.
I didn't mention that my third. My third is the Saints. They lost some pieces on offense, and while they addressed some, they made some questionable choices. I like Calvin Banks to replace Ryan Ramczyk, but they took a quarterback in the second, and there was better quarterbacks available, or honestly, there could have been a better choice later. And rounds 3 through 7, it just felt like they took more depth pieces than contributors, in my personal opinion. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the 49ers, I actually disagree slightly because I actually think Michael Williams is really, really good.
Well, he's from Georgia, so he'll probably pan out.
Uh, but Saints, I do agree with. I mean, Tyler Shuck could end up being some crazy quarterback, but like second round pick, 40 overall for a guy who's 25, a quarterback is a little bit like, so I do agree. Like, they didn't make any picks that I was very wowed by. So I don't have much to disagree with you on this. I like your reasoning. Didn't the only thing I say is, didn't the Niners take a quarterback at the end of the draft? I can't remember who it was though.
They might have taken like a quarterback slash receiver. Let me look at
The guy out of South Dakota State.
49ers draft picks 2025. I'm not going to share my screen or anything like that. Damn it! I don't want to know what their picks are, but I want to know who they picked. That's ranking. Okay.
Oh, Curtis Rourke. That's who they took, I believe. The Indiana
Uh,
quarterback.
is he the top choice?
I don't think so, but I saw Indiana and I'm pretty sure that's who they took.
Uh, uh, they're all out of
Yep,
order. Oh,
there it
yep,
is.
yep. Okay. Well, yeah, he's 7th round pick. But like,
They love 7th round quarterbacks.
yeah, but who knows? So those are my three losers. And then finally we're gonna go into who we think will be offensive and defensive rookie of the year. Um, and do you want to go first, or should I go?
Yeah, sure, I'll go first. So for my offensive rookie of the year, I'm actually going to go away from who I'm sure everyone will pick and who will probably end up being the pick at Ashton Genty.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say Tet McMillan, or not Tet McMillan, T Mac. He doesn't like being called Tet, apparently. He said during the draft.
Really?
So yeah,
I didn't know. I didn't
even
see
though
that.
I am like 112% sure he will not see this, I'm going to respect his wishes. I just think that Bryce Young has been dying for a number one wide receiver, and I think the fact that they've continued to address the offensive line, he looked a lot better last year under Dave Canales. I think that if McMillan is anywhere near what advertised and where they use draft capital to pick him at, I could see him easily having 1,300 yards receiving and like 10 to 12 touchdowns as the number one option there in a class of, like we mentioned, not the strongest candidates for anything. And Cam Ward, usually it's a quarterback award, offensive rookie of the year,
Yes.
but Cam Ward is the only first round rookie quarterback this year, and it is a terrible situation. So unless he has like a CJ Stroud or a Jaden Daniels type turnaround with his team, I think it'll go to a skill position guy. So I'm going to put my hat in the ring for McMillan. And then for defensive rookie of the year, and I know you might mention him here too. Abdul Carter. Man, the Giants' defensive line is scary. He's
Yep.
going to have like Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence opposite him, as well as they just announced they're taking the 5th-year option on Kevon Thibodeau. He's going to have so much attention elsewhere that, man, like, I don't think the Giants will be good, but that defensive line is freaking scary. So
Yes.
I think he's my pick.
Yes. So for me, offensive rookie of the year will probably most likely go to who everyone thinks, and that's Ashton Genty, because Pete Carroll's offense is so run heavy. For me, for defensive rookie of the year, it comes down to Abdul Carter or Mason Graham, and everything that Jack just said about Abdul Carter is my reasoning for having Abdul Carter. But for Mason Graham, it's kind of the same thing, because he's literally going to be playing next to Myles Garrett. And to be honest with you, in all fairness, I think, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the fact that the Jaguars went up and got Travis Hunter, but I would have loved to see Abdul Carter and Myles Garrett together and see how many sacks they could throw up. I mean, because Myles Garrett, he gets 12 to 15 sacks, and Abdul Carter, as much as he didn't, necessarily produce great sacks in college. I mean,
well, he didn't really play edge until his last year there too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He was an off-ball linebacker for a while.
Got it. But I mean, Mason Graham, he could do the same thing against next to Myles Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I just mentioned probably the two best defensive players for my defensive pick, but
hey,
that's how you get defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, be good.
So do you want to go into your Bears picks for offensive and defensive?
Yeah, sure. Offensive rookie of the year, it's going to be lame. I mean, honestly, both are going to kind of be lame, chalky. I think Colston Loveland's going to be the offensive rookie of the year this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they spend the 10th overall pick on a pass-catching tight end and not throwing the ball. Bears fans were always kind of upset that Cole Kmet wasn't getting the ball. We spent a second-round pick and extended him. Well, now we have a first-round, 10th overall tight end who I think is going to get the ball a ton. Hopefully him and Caleb are already getting to work and practicing together and getting that chemistry going. So I would love to see Loveland potentially like 750 yards this year. Like that would kind of be what I hope. He get like 700 to 750 yards and like 5 or 6 touchdowns. Like I think that'd be an awesome year for him. And then defensive rookie of the year, I think it's going to be Shamar Turner. Like that's the one we spent the highest draft pick on. He's going to get the most playing time. I think he'll be fresh because we do have a lot of defensive tackle depth now after the signing of Grady Jarrett. And I think that he has a chance to be better than Andrew Billings. And as much as I'm a big Gervon Dexter fan, I think he can be better than Dexter. So we'll have to see how much he contributes this year, but I would put my money on him if I were a betting man.
Yes. And honestly, for me, I did kind of go in the same direction for both of the picks. I did mention, other names for offensive rookie of the year. I think Burden could get it. I think Monangai could get
1 minute, please.
Could get it, but in my I don't even know what she said. She'll come back after lunch.
Okay.
But sorry, I wish I could cut that out, but I can't like go to certain spots and just highlight something and cut it out. I mean, I don't know how many yards Burden will have being the wide receiver 3, with the first two being DJ Moore and Rome Dunze, and in 12 personnel there is only 2 wide receivers on the field,
so
and 2 tight ends.
That's why I went away from Burden as my pick.
I am very excited to see him in this offense, but I just don't.
We'll play some 11. Like we'll definitely not just play only 12, but I feel like just the fact that Loveland will probably be the tight end on the field in 11 as well. So
I'm hoping that Burden gets at least 650 to 700 would be my guess. I would be okay with a similar season to Rome Dunze's rookie season. But if I was a betting man, because of the use of 12 personnel, I'm gonna say it's gonna be Loveland. And for my defensive pick of the year, because we only had two, or right? Was it 2 or 3?
Za Frazier,
No, it was 3. It was 3.
Smart
But
Turner,
but
and yeah,
but 2 of them will be more of the contributors in Turner and
Frazier,
Frazier.
and then
But out of those 2, Turner makes the most sense because he might be on the field more, and he's got better mentors, and he can play multiple positions.
And I think one name we should mention for Offensive Rookie of the Year potentially, because I know you talked about him potentially starting at right tackle, is Ozzy Trapilo. Like if he starts at right tackle and plays good, that is not something you can underestimate. So
That's true. But he's not going to be like Offensive Rookie of the Year for the league, because he's a
yeah, but I mean, would you rather? What do you think is more valuable as an offensive player? Right tackle season where he gives up like 1 or 2 sacks, or Burden catching like 650 yards and 4 touchdowns?
1 or 2 sacks.
Yeah. So even though he wouldn't get any awards, he'll get all personal award.
So sorry that we kind of we could have done this yesterday, but we had to prepare, and also I'm sorry that this is a little long. I'm gonna try and get better at we're gonna be trying to get better at making this a little bit shorter, so you don't have to just sit here for 45 minutes while we talk. But
this podcast, the nature of it, at least for the post draft one, is there's just a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
So,
but honestly for the next week, there might not be that much to talk about because we don't know if rookie minicamp is going to be the 2nd through the 5th or the 9th through the 12th yet. It hasn't been announced. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you next week with a much shorter podcast because we don't know what to talk about yet.
see everybody.
See you guys.